Most commander decks ask whether a play is worth the consequences. Obeka asks a better question: what if the consequences simply never happened? Welcome to the Jank command. This is Obeka, Brute Chronologist, a Grixis deck that borrows creatures, creates temporary copies, takes extremely suspicious extra turns, and then ends the turn before the bill arrives. Obeka is a 3/1 ogre wizard with vigilance. The player whose turn it is may accept her offer to end the turn. Ending the turn exiles every spell and ability on the stack, removes creatures from combat, clears damage, and jumps directly to cleanup. The crucial detail is that delayed triggers already on the stack disappear without creating a replacement trigger. Obeka cannot erase a trigger that has not happened yet. We wait until an end-step sacrifice or exile trigger actually goes onto the stack, then tap Obeka. If we end the turn earlier, the delayed trigger may simply wait for the next end step. Timing correctly is the difference between keeping an Archon of Cruelty and donating it to the graveyard. Sneak Attack puts a creature into play for 1 red mana, gives it haste, and schedules a sacrifice at the next end step. We attack, put the sacrifice trigger on the stack, and let Obeka cancel the appointment. Ilhug, the Razeboar, and Perforos, bronze-blooded, provide similar temporary deployment for enormous creatures. Felden of the Third Path, Jaxis, the Troublemaker, Kiki-Jiki, Mirror Breaker, and Orthian, Hero of Lavabrink, make hasty copies that are supposed to disappear. Flameshadow Conjuring, Molten Echoes, and Mirror March produce even more temporary employees. Obeka waits until their exile or sacrifice triggers are stacked, then declares the paperwork invalid. Archon of Cruelty attacks hands, creatures, life totals, and dignity. Etali, Primal Storm, casts free spells. Combustible Gearhulk draws cards or throws a pile of damage at somebody. Massacre Worm punishes token armies, while Molten Primordial steals the best creature from every opponent for 1 spectacular combat. Zara, Renegade Recruiter, pulls a creature from an opponent's hand into combat. Coercive Recruiter and Furbolg, Flutist, temporarily steal creatures already in play. Their return control triggers use the stack, so Obeka can end our turn with those triggers waiting. Apparently possession really is 9/10 of the comprehensive rules. Cedrus, the Traitor King, gives our creatures unearth. Unearthed creatures normally exile at the end step, but Obeka can remove that trigger. Aromi of the Dead Tide gives encore, producing 1 token for each opponent. Rakshasa Debaser brings an opponent's creature back whenever it attacks. These graveyard engines turn 1 dead threat into several live problems. Wake the Dead returns any number of creatures during combat, then tries to sacrifice them at the next end step. Apprentice Necromancer, Whip of Erebos, Reanimate, Victimize, Phyrexian Delver, and Living Death keep the graveyard moving. Sepulchral Primordial and Puppeteer Clique ensure our opponent's graveyards are also considered community property. Final Fortune gives us an extra turn and a delayed trigger that says we lose the game. That sounds concerning only if we respect scheduled appointments. At the extra turn's end step, the lose the game trigger goes on the stack. Obeka ends the turn and exiles it. This is not an infinite turn combo. It is 1 extremely irresponsible coupon for an additional combat. Psychic Vortex gives us more cards every upkeep, but asks us to sacrifice a land and discard our hand at the end step. Those punishment triggers can be cancelled when they reach the stack. Industrial Advancement sacrifices a creature to reveal a larger one, turning disposable tokens and stolen creatures into fresh threats before Obeka protects the survivors. Baleful Strix draws a card and discourages attacks. Muldrifter can be evoked, then copied or reanimated. Shriekmaw removes a creature on arrival. Duplicant answers indestructible targets without destroying them. Plarg and Nasari supply free spells each upkeep, keeping the deck functional even when the graveyard plan meets dedicated hate. Counterspell, Arcane Denial, and an offer you can't refuse stop dangerous spells. Terminate, Bedevil, Reality Shift, and feed the swarm answer creatures and troublesome permanents. Chaos Warp reaches almost anything. Rakdos Charm can exile a graveyard, destroy an artifact, or punish a player who has made an inadvisable number of creature tokens. Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, 3 Signets, and 2 Talismans get Obeka working early. Faithless looting and frantic search place expensive creatures into the graveyard while finding action. Big Score and Deadly Dispute generate treasure. High Market sacrifices a creature we cannot keep, while Command Beacon helps after repeated commander removal. The deck wins through repeated attacks from creatures that were only supposed to exist for 1 turn. Archon of Cruelty, Etali, Combustible Gearhulk, and Copid Primordials produce overwhelming value. A Final Fortune turn can supply the last combat. There is no compact infinite combo. The plan is to accumulate increasingly permanent evidence of temporary effects. This is a focused bracket 3 deck. It has strong reanimation, efficient interaction, and explosive turns, but 0 current game changers, no massland denial, and no intentional 2-card infinite combo. Graveyard hate, instant speed removal before the end step, and opponents refusing Obeka's offer on their own turns keep the timekeeping honest. Obeka is perfect for players who believe mistakes are just triggered abilities waiting to be exiled. The complete list, rules notes, and Moxfield import are included with this episode. Subscribe to the Jank Command for more strange commanders, clever synergies, and legal arguments beginning with the phrase "hold priority."